Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Fantastic Four issue number 14. Oh yes, I had to go with this Immortals variant cover. If you guys haven't been looking at some of the Immortal variants covers, it's not just the idea this is gorgeous. It's gorgeous all the way around. That's right, look at this. This is going to be my second time that I'm doing a 5 things about a comic book review. I'm going to try and do that with all my comic book reviews from this point on. So it's interesting that this cover isn't even one of the 5 things about the comic, but wow, it's definitely worth mentioning. Anyway, let's get talking about who made the comic book, and then I will tell you about 5 things about the comic book. All right, so we got Point of Origin Part 1, Wanderlust. Dan Slott is the writer, Paco Medina on art, Jesus Abertov on colors, VC's Joe Caramagna on letters, Mike Deodato Jr. and Romulo Ferraro Jr. doing the cover art. A whole bunch of people doing the variant covers. Ryan Brown, another by Mike McCone and Rachel Rosenberg, another by In-hyuk Lee, another by Tom Rainey and Rachel Rosenberg, and another one by Christian Ward. The Ryan Brown one, that's this. That's the variant cover that I got in my hand. My God, this is gorgeous. Okay, so 5 things about this book. Let's get started. First off, number 1, this is a jumping on point. That is huge. That is huge because it's Fantastic Four. And it's very rare. I don't care who's writing the book. I don't care who's ever written the book. It is very hard to find a jumping on point for Fantastic Four. And this comic book, this issue, is a great one. So if you're not familiar with the Fantastic Four, you haven't been following this, that, whatever, blah, 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 jump on it right here. Check this comic book out. Absolutely ecstatic that this is a jumping on point, and a very good one too. The next thing about this comic book, number 2, is that, check this out, man. We got beautiful artwork by Paco Medina, okay? The artwork is beautiful. But do you know what really makes this comic book? The colors. Jesus Abertov in this book, man, really, really puts this off into something crazy. I want you to look at this panel. Now, not just imagine if this is in black and white. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is imagine many other colorists. Not all other colorists. I'm not saying Jesus is the best. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, damn, this dude has gone unnoticed, unrecognized for way too long. I remember when I was reviewing the WWE comic books, one of the first sets of comic books that I've ever done. And like, I'm just looking at him like, this guy makes this comic book. He makes this comic book a beautiful comic book. You know what I'm saying? And now comes up in here and he's doing it. And it's like, dude, this is just absolutely gorgeous what this guy does. Let's move on to some more stuff that he does. Like, you really got to be able to understand the colors, the story, the art. None of it works without these colors, not the colors, these specific colors. What this guy does, it's amazing. One more, right over here. Look at the backgrounds. Look at that background. Dude, you hear about artists from back in the day, back in the 80s of Marvel Comics, where it's like the art, the 80s and prior, of course, like the Gene Colans, the Jack Kirby's, you know what I'm saying? You talk about all these old Ditko type artists who they were like, dude, I'm putting my all into this because this is what I do. This is who I am. I want this stuff to last forever. There are some artists still like that today, like Jason Fabok. These are people who's like, they want their art to stay this amazing stuff, right? Jesus Abertov is one of those people. He's one of them. Look at the backgrounds on this. It's one thing to draw a couple little bubbles and whatnot, a couple little lines, but when you get those colors in there, this is a guy who actually cares about what his work looks like years and years later, how you're going to compare what he does. Number 3, this feels like a Fantastic Four book. Yeah, I know. Duh. It should, right? Yeah, it should. They usually don't. Look, man, this is a Dan Slott Fantastic Four book, and I got to be honest, I'm a little disappointed it took until issue 14 for it to finally feel like a freaking Fantastic Four book. And if you liked it before, no disrespect to you. But for me, this is how long it actually took. And I'm so happy I stuck with the comic book. Sometimes I stuck with the comic book a lot longer than I really should have. Other times I got suckered into coming back. And other times like, oh, Immortal Hulk versus Ben Grimm. Yay, I got to check this out. I can't miss up this, prime fight. But in this particular case, this really felt like, wow. This kind of bleeds into number 4. Check this out. New characters. Okay, this, what are they called? I had to actually look them up. Colonel Duke Dutchman and Captain Sandy Sanders. As old-time a Fantastic Four fan as I am, I generally had to stop and think, were these guys in an issue? I mean, obviously they weren't in the original Lee and Kirby stuff, but I mean, did they come up later on? Did some other writer put them in someplace and it was like an afterthought? Like, what are you talking about? Like the people who the Storms wound up replacing. It was supposed to be these two plus Ben and Reed? That's just really weird, man. What's going on with that? No, they actually are brand new characters. Looked them up fairly extensively just to make sure. Brand new characters. That's impressive. That's really impressive to pull off something like this. And also bleeding into it is the idea that the way that the kids are written in this, yeah, that just felt great. Holy crap. So many times people don't want families involved in their superheroes because, oh, look at this, the family's just going to wind up getting in the way. Like, one of the only times you can ever say as an exception would be, what do you call it? Aunt May, who, there's a bunch of stories built around her, but she's basically the damsel in distress, right? When you don't have Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy or whoever. She's just somebody who's going to be in distress, right? There's always this idea of, Mom, Pa, Kent, oh, I'm leaving Smallville. I'll reference you once in a while. You know what I'm saying? And that's with so many of the relationships that we have. How many characters in comic books actually have mothers or fathers or kids, right? Here, Fantastic Four, they've got kids. And there's a reason I would like to see a reason to have them involved in the story, but Slott finds amazing ways to exit them from the story. And I got to give him credit for that. And it was this issue that I actually really noticed it on. Number 5. I am genuinely excited for the next issue. I know, once again, it should be, well, duh, you should always be. Yes, I should always be. Instead, all I can ever say is, I just really wish Chip Zdarsky was writing this book. That's all I can ever think about when I'm reading this, the Fantastic Four by Dan Slott. And this is the first issue that I realized after the fact, you know what? I'm kind of okay with Slott writing this. And I want to see what happens next. I already have an idea of what's supposed to happen next. They're saying that the Fantastic Four is supposed to be viewed as villains pretty soon. What? Sounds like a cool Star Trek Voyager episode, right? I am excited to read the next issue. I'm not going to be picking it up dreading that I've wasted my money or that I'm wasting my time or, I'm going to have to try and find a nice way to put that I don't like this comic book, right? No, I'm not doing that with this issue. I'm actually going to be excited to pick up the next issue of the Fantastic Four because of how amazing this issue was. That's 5 things about this comic book, and I am done. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.